Just Like Us, for LGBT young people.
Hey Sarah.
Hey James.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Wonderful, glad to hear it. Welcome to Just Like Us, the monthly podcast for LGBT young people.
Yay! We're going to be talking about different LGBT plus themes every month. We should probably introduce ourselves because
We should. We're new.
we aren't the same ones you've heard before. So, this is James. He's
It's
19.
You think?
Yeah,
I
I
am.
think.
Yep.
We've
Yep.
been friends for like a year. I should know his age. James is gay. If identifies as gay, his
Okay,
pronouns are
wow.
he, him. We are both students at Oxford.
And we're best friends.
We are close acquaintances.
Okay. Right, I'm going to
Um,
introduce Sarah now. She hates me, apparently, and we're not friends. Sarah is almost 20.
Don't remind me.
Her pronouns are she, her, and she's a bisexual.
We met at, so our college did a party and James was dressed as either Mr. Bean or Jeremy Corbyn. No one
It was
sure.
ambiguous.
It was, yeah.
I think we settled on Corbyn.
It was solid. And it was me, James, and someone else. And we all kind of bonded over the fact that when we realised that we were all gay. And then I remember us taking a photo being like, we're
It's
gay.
a cute
And
photo.
it's a very cute photo.
You're listening to Just Like Us, the monthly show for LGBT young people.
Let's get to the actual stuff. So, what are we talking about this week,
We
Sarah?
are, this month, we're talking about Christmas because the season is upon us.
'Tis the season. Make the Yuletide gay.
Make the Yuletide gay.
So fun.
Yeah,
Joke.
and it's been a long year. I'm excited for Christmas. Christmas is the one holiday where I kind of go off. I'm like really excited about Christmas. Like I get excited about it from
She really
October,
goes for it.
and like I have been known to watch like Love Actually in October.
So, we're talking about the holidays with regards to being LGBT.
Yeah. It's an interesting one because it's not one that you always associate with being LGBT. You kind of just think Christmas is Christmas for everyone sometimes, like, and you forget that there are some specific things that are different when you're in the closet or not in the closet. So like when I was in the closet, I remember I was very careful about the presents I would ask for. Like I wouldn't ask for certain books because if they were in the LGBT section, my mum would go there and be shocked.
Oh,
and
no, that's such a thing.
Yeah.
It's weird because you just kind of... I remember when I was in the closet, I felt like, yeah, there were several of my interests that I was like, oh, I don't want to betray
Yeah.
this.
So, or I was, yeah, it's weird though, because now I'm like, I'll just fully ask for any books I want, anything. And then also my mum asked me, she texted me the other day asking which rainbow jumper she could buy me, which is really wholesome. So it's like, it's nice
That's so
when you take a
cute.
second to think, oh, like a few years ago, I wouldn't have been able to. You know, if you know someone who likes Marvel and that's like their thing and you always get them a Marvel thing, I feel like being LGBT plus is kind of my thing.
It's its own interest.
Like some
It
people
counts.
are like, I'll just Google LGBT plus or like I'll search it on Etsy and then anything I find I just give to them.
It's
which
got
can
a rainbow
be,
on it? Yes, please.
Honestly.
You're listening to Just Like Us, the monthly show for LGBT young people.
It's not always the best though. It can be sometimes it can be a bit lonely. It's not really lonely in the same way that like Valentine's Day is lonely. I'm not like, ooh, want a girlfriend. But it was kind of like you're very close to your family the whole time.
Yeah, it's very close quarters.
Yeah. And you're kind
Definitely.
of always like catching yourself to be like, ooh, like you have to think about what you're saying the whole time. And then that's even when you're around family that's not homophobic, I think. It's just...
Yeah.
Just kind of being aware of yourself and then sometimes being aware that maybe you don't feel like you're fully being yourself with these people.
Yeah,
It's a hard one. It's a
Big
deep
mood.
one, but it is. But it's like,
No, I
it's like
felt
that's valid.
that. No, Christmas is such a time where it's like, you know, there'll be like something gay on TV and you'll be like, oh, I can't react
When
too
Carol
big.
came out, I was, when the film
Carol-
Carol,
Carol, yeah.
came out, I was so intrigued, but I also didn't want to risk
you don't wanna-
watching it, because I'd have to secretly watch it in my room, and then
I haven't
it's
seen
kind
it,
of when
but I will
things
have
like
to.
that happen, or like in a film where you're just like, you're very aware. It's like when watching a sex scene with your parents. Like, not that like LGBT stuff should be like sexualized, but it is a bit. You're just very on edge and
Yeah.
very aware of everyone's
Oh no,
reaction.
my thing in the closet was so like I would always be aware of the fact that my legs were crossed. As soon as anything gay happened, I was like normally, because I'm gay, I was sitting with my legs crossed. And I would suddenly be like, oh my god, no, like I look really gay like right now. Like
Just a
I
man
can't
spread.
I have to spread it out.
You're listening to Just Like Us, the monthly show for LGBT young people.
Yeah, so I mean, so we've said it's a bit lonely, but like we can be inspirational. What are some things we can do, Sarah, to stop being as lonely? No, that sounded
not
very
be lonely.
accusatory.
I think one of my main things is focusing sometimes on having your chosen family is like a big thing. So like
that's such a thing we
such
get to do as like
a,
LGBT plus people.
Yeah, like it's a
awesome.
term that gets bandied around a lot, but it really is.
It's so real.
Yeah, and I think it's nice to, even if you're in the closet, to think about the fact that maybe even if you don't have a chosen family now, you'll have one day. So then
that was my thing actually, because I mean, because at holidays and stuff, you know, I'd be going through this. I was in the closet, and everyone was just like, "Oh, like hang out with your gay friends," and I'd be like, "Where?
I don't
Where
have
are
any."
they?
But also, it's like that's quite funny because when I came to uni, I was like so determined to have gay friends. I've done pretty
yeah,
well
same.
because straight
I
friends are a
guess.
real minority in my in my friendship group. But I really wanted LGBT plus friends. I think also because when you grow up with Christmas, it's like your family has such like traditions and stuff, and you kind of think, oh, this is the one way to celebrate Christmas.
This is Christmas forever.
Yeah, this is the template for Christmas, and I
Yeah.
have to do all of these things. But then when you have like your chosen family, everyone kind of brings different traditions and stuff like that, or like you kind of share different things because you all have such different backgrounds.
But I think for me, it was very much about like self-care.
It's a
The buzzword nowadays.
It is a
All
buzzword.
the teens are talking about self-care.
Millennials love self-care.
We do.
But also, I feel like it should be something that everyone loves because it's just fun.
It's
like,
true.
and also sometimes it's an excuse to be a bit lazy at Christmas. Like, you don't need any more excuses. But if you're like, you can take the night off and be like, I have a face mask. I'm, self-care
Yeah.
is important. Especially if things are a bit stressful at home. I think knowing your little niche of things you can go back to because that can be your own safe space. Like doing a face mask or something in your room, or like taking time to listen to music can definitely be like your own little
I think
safe
definitely
space.
it was like I get lost in LGBT media as well. I'd love to go on like private browsing on my thing and like search up like gay TV shows that wouldn't show up on my internet.
I was so
history.
scared about what you were saying.
No.
But yeah.
No, I just like watch gay TV shows and
Yeah.
stuff, and like that was like always, and whenever I was feeling like kind of down about not being able to be myself, that was
Yeah.
always nice, just having that representation.
You're listening to Just Like Us, the monthly show for LGBT young people.
A lot of it, I'm quite lucky because, well, I'm not really lucky, but I have like, I'm still not out to my grandparents, so I haven't had to like actually have anything directed at me as such, but
But that's more stressful because it's like you want to fight your corner, but it's like,
yeah, it's always
you know,
the one
if somebody
where
brings up like, I just don't know how I feel about the LGBTs, and you're like, I want to argue with you, but I don't want to.
But they also talk about LGBT people as if it's impossible that they could be in the room.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
always in the abstract. So they're like, oh, I'd hate to hang out with an LGBT person. I'm like,
What?
psych, you've been doing
Psych.
it this whole time. Like, and do you know what I mean?
Surprise.
It's just a weird one where they're like,
Yeah, and that's so grim as well too.
so then it'll be like they'll say something like a slur or something. But then I think that's where I kind of prioritize self-care because I'm kind of like, do I have the energy to actually react to that
I think that's such
right
a
now?
thing, and I think as well, like, you can say to people, I think without being a risk of outing yourself even, you can say to people like, ugh, let's not talk about politics. Like, if it's gonna really stress you out, you deserve to not have to, you don't have to be, if you're in the closet and you're worried about your own kind of well-being, you don't have to be this ambassador for LGBT rights. You're not going to change somebody's mind immediately. Like, if you have difficult family, you can literally just be like, oh, guys, like, let's not talk about this stuff.
And also focusing, I think, maybe on friends if you know that... Because I feel like friends are kind of undervalued in the holiday season, you know? Because...
It's very true. It's very, like, family-focused, but friends are a type of family.
Oh, that's...
They
James is
are.
giving me a real cheesy smile right now.
You're listening to Just Like Us, the monthly show for LGBT young people.
Obviously, we're quite lucky in terms of we don't have, like, awful family.
Yeah.
But you know, if you're in... If somebody listening to this is in a situation that's actually going to be really bad, it's all very well and good for us to be like, self-care.
Self-care's important.
Self-care,
just ignore your family.
Just take a face mask and homophobia will go away, or transphobia will go away.
yeah.
Like, no, that isn't going to work for everybody.
It is important to prioritise yourself, especially because it's such a season of think of other people, and it is important to think about other people, but I think when you're LGBT, like, you're vulnerable in a way that isn't necessarily applicable to every single person.
Yeah,
so I
that's
think
very
it
true.
is important to self-care.
And honestly, like, it's okay to, at the same time, if your family is being really awful, we've kind of talked about ways to deal with family.
Yeah.
But it's kind of okay to not deal with your family.
I saw a really good Twitter thread from someone who said that they had a really toxic family, so they decided to just take Christmas for themselves, and they just watched the Christmas movies they liked, ate the food they wanted to eat. Like, and I was like, that is such like a...
That's so nice.
It's such a good, like, level of,
I'm
like,
going to do that if my
self-care
brother
priorities.
annoys me this year. I'm going to be like, I'm taking Christmas for myself now. We wanted to sum up with, like, 2018, how's it been? We were thinking of doing this cute little segment where we say like our favourite, LGBT thing of the month, but we thought we could do one for the whole year.
I have a few. I mean, one thing that people are going to learn on this podcast is that one of my favourite people in the world is Harry Styles, and as James knows too well.
I told her not to talk about this.
No, but it's great. So Harry Styles went on tour this year, and it was a very, very LGBT plus supportive tour. So, and he did a lot of things, and he released a song in which he spoke about like being attracted to boys and girls, and I remember all of my friends being very excited. And so that's been nice seeing everyone be so supportive. And then when I went to my concert, when I went to see him live, lots of people had like rainbow flags, and it was just a really nice like environment for that. And I was just thinking like,
nice.
Yeah, and I just remember thinking like I would not have thought I would be coming to a place that's so full of support.
I went to my first Pride this year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was exciting.
Cute. Where was
Very
it?
cute, in London. I have written down that I have to talk about Janelle Monáe's Dirty Computer. I just love it so much. It's such Sarah and I, we just like had Dirty Computer I just like want to loop for like a few weeks.
It was very loopable though. One of her songs called Pink, and she had a really good, that was really good LGBT.
And it was trans inclusive as well, the video, which was amazing.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
It was really cool. So I would check that out.
Love Simon happened this year. That was cool.
That was really cool. It was nice to see like so many people go, because I remember seeing on Instagram lots of people, when people do that thing when they have pictures of their cinema tickets. It's
very
cute.
Weird. It was so relatable that I literally had to lie down on the floor of the cinema during one scene.
During the
film, I literally just lay down
Which
on the
scene?
floor. It's the bit where he's talking to his friend, and his friend is like, "Do you ever just feel like you're kind of like outside, and there's like a part of you that you can't?" And I was like,
So those are some of our highlights of 2018. We'll see you next month.
Next year. Very exciting.
You've been listening to Just Like Us, the monthly show for LGBT young people. The music was by Twisterium. We come into schools too. Young people, teachers and parents can find us at www.justlikeus.org.